hasn't verified all the available existing materials and all the nature of its nuclear program.
What the IAEA is saying is that it's being stonewalled by Iran, that Iran is not being open with it.
Well, Iran is acting within the framework of the IAEA. They want us to sign the additional protocol, which is voluntary. Iran did it once, but it is not going to do it again. Iran says that I will do whatever other members of the NPT are doing. So don't ask me more than what I can do for you. But at the same time, Iran is inviting them for dialogue. Iran is inviting them to come and investigate and see for themselves. Remember, each and every step inside Iran's nuclear program and activities are being monitored through CCTV cameras by the IAEA inspectors.
Okay, thanks very much indeed for your thoughts there. Gambar Nadiri speaking to us live from Tehran.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's have a quick recap of our top story, the ongoing events in Libya. Tripoli is braced for more violence, with residents reporting that the Gaddafi regime is arming civilian supporters to set up checkpoints and quell dissent. Much of the rest of the country is now controlled by Gaddafi's opponents. Now, Ireland has voted, and it looks like the ruling Fianna Fáil party will be cast out of power. Let's go back to Lauren Taylor in London for more on that. Lauren, not looking good for the ruling party.
No, that's right. Fianna Fáil presided over Ireland's disastrous fall from economic powerhouse to the brink of bankruptcy, and that saw many of its traditional supporters turn against it. One exit poll indicates that a coalition government is now the most likely outcome. Well, we can speak now to Rory Challens, who joins us live from Dublin. So, Rory, how's the count going so far?
Well, we're well into it now. It began at about 9 o'clock this morning, so a good few hours down the road. We have actually just had our first official seats being announced. That was Joan Burton, who's one of the Labour candidates here in Dublin. So this really is turning into quite a remarkable day now for Irish politics. All over Ireland, anger is being counted vote by vote. This election has galvanised a vengeful electorate. Indications are of over 70% turnout across the country. At this count in the centre of Dublin, 6 different constituencies are being tallied up. And when all the boxes are emptied and the dust settles, Ireland will have had the biggest shake-up of its political landscape since it became an independent state. The exit polls point to a hammering for the incumbent Fianna Fáil party, just 15.1% of the vote predicted. That's punishment for its role in Ireland's economic demise. Independents are eager to point fingers at the people they feel let the country down.
The people of this country are going to visit punishment on, or have visited punishment on Fianna Fáil for presiding over the most serious economic crisis the country has seen since its foundation, a crisis that resulted from the fact that Fianna Fáil promoted the interests of developers, bankers and a super wealthy elite.
Any country in Europe thinking of going cap in hand to the European Union or the IMF would do well to look at what's happening to Fianna Fáil here.
There will be chills going up and down the spines of various parties around Europe looking at the results and the consequences of taking such a huge and momentous decision.
The predicted winner of this election is Fine Gael, most likely going into a coalition with the Labour Party. They'll have the unenviable task of trying to renegotiate the terms of the EU-IMF bailout, bring unemployment down and implement several years of austerity measures. The Irish people may be getting their revenge, but their pain certainly isn't over yet.
So, Rory, when will we know for sure who will run Ireland?
Well, we should have more and more of these seats being announced as we go through the afternoon here, and then that will continue through the evening. We probably won't have an absolute clear idea until Sunday morning, really, who has actually won this election and how big the sea change in Irish politics actually is. Well, I'm joined here by one of the independent candidates, one of the fresher faces on the political scene here in Ireland, Dylan Haskins. Dylan, you're still at university and you decided to run in this election. Can you tell me when you decided and why?
I decided about 2 months ago, and I announced my campaign 4 weeks ago because I really felt that there was very little choice on offer from the Irish parties. We've just seen Fianna Fáil are the party who are going out of government. have failed my generation, but also Fine Gael, who are likely to be the next government, are much the same as Fianna Fáil. So I felt that the only way we can get a change in political culture in this country is by a different type of person standing for office, and that's why I decided to stand. I also thought it was extremely important to get a younger generation represented in our parliament, because at the moment 70% of our elected representatives are over the age of 50, yet the average age of an Irish person is 35. So we need to bring a bit more balance into our parliament. And
to what do you attribute Fianna Fáil's seemingly atrocious presence in this election?
I think they've a legacy of listening to the wrong people. It's an extremely corrupt country, really. If you look at how decisions have been made, I think that really the interests were not long-term in terms of the decisions that the government made. It was very much, we have a lot of money at the moment, and let's spend it and let's get re-elected. Now I think for younger generations it's more important about what is the long-term future for an Irish person, because at the moment I think at the end of the year it's expected that 50,000 Irish young people will have emigrated. So that's something that we need to change, and how we change that is by giving them a reason to stay in Ireland, which at the moment they don't have. And
you're obviously a candidate here. How do you feel you're doing?
Well, it's as I said, I only announced my campaign 4 weeks ago. So at the moment, I have come ahead of most of the other independent candidates with how I'm polling. But it's really complicated. There's a lot of independent, non-political party candidates standing in this election. So it's going to be the matter of the transfers coming from these different. It's quite a complicated electoral system. So we really have to wait and see. But I'm hoping to take one of the final seats in the constituency.
Dylan, well, thank you very much for joining us there. So yes, it is looking like it's a good day for independents, possibly like Dylan. Also a good day for Fine Gael and for Labour, but a terrible, terrible day for Fianna Fáil.
OK, Rory, thanks very much indeed. Rory challenged there live for us in Dublin. The French Foreign Minister, Michel Alliot-Marie, says she's fully committed to her job, despite reports that she's about to be sacked. Alliot-Marie has taken a public battering since taking a holiday to Tunisia during the country's popular uprising. She flew there in a plane belonging to a businessman with alleged ties to the ousted President Ben Ali. A man has died after he blew himself up at the entrance of a discount retail store in northeast Moscow. Local reports say he pulled a pin on a grenade, killing himself instantly. There are no reports of any other injuries. Law enforcement officials said the man muttered something incomprehensible before he took his own life. And that's all from Europe for now. Back to Doha.
Now, calls for political reform haven't been confined to the Arab world. AlJazeera has obtained rare video of a demonstration in Vietnam, a country where political dissent is swiftly put down by the government. Steve Chow has our exclusive report.
Filmed from a moving car, it is difficult to see the protesters amongst the traffic, but there they are. About 100 farmers from across Vietnam holding silent vigil in the country's largest city. In what is a tightly controlled nation, this is considered a bold step. Photos show the faces of determination. Their posters criticize authorities for illegally seizing their land. Others demand their basic rights and freedoms.
We've seen an increasing number of protests taking place in Vietnam, in part because people are becoming more brave, they've got better information. They're connected now by the internet, so they're learning about protests and what's taking place.
As uprisings spread through the Arab world, it has emboldened those in Vietnam to stand up to their government. But unlike elsewhere, human rights groups fear they won't get very far. At the latest Congress in January, the country's leaders vowed to further strengthen their grip on power. The Communist Party has ruled pretty well unchallenged for more than 35 years.
In the recent months, there's been a crackdown in Vietnam where the government has arrested bloggers and writers for their peaceful expression. At the same time, members of political parties, including Việt Tân, have been arrested solely for organizing. And that's the climate we see in Vietnam of activists arrested and being sentenced to very long jail terms.
And in many cases, tortured and beaten. Witnesses say as police moved in to quash this demonstration, at least one man was struck repeatedly. All were taken in for questioning.
We've made several attempts to contact Vietnam's foreign ministry about the protests, but our calls have so far gone unanswered. Inside Vietnam, activists tell us that more people than ever are willing to publicly express their dissatisfaction. But in a country where political dissent is not tolerated, no one is willing to say how far future demonstrations will go. Steve Chow, Al Jazeera.
Let's get all the day's sport now with Rahul.
Julie, thank you very much. Tense match going on in Colombo at the moment. Sri Lanka hosting Pakistan in Group A of the Cricket World Cup. Pakistan chose to bat first. They made 277 for 7, chasing 278 to win. Sri Lanka currently 130 for 4 of 32 overs. Well, the group match all of India seems to be waiting for. We'll see the host nation taking on England. Sunday's game has been hit by a series of organisational problems in the build-up. First, the match had to be moved to Bengaluru at short notice when Kolkata's Eden Gardens was deemed not ready. Now fans are complaining tickets haven't been distributed fairly. Andy Richardson reports.
It's the marquee fixture of cricket's World Cup group stage. England versus hosts India in Bengaluru. The sort of match every fan wants to see and every player wants to be involved in.
It's going to be a great atmosphere here in Bangalore. And I think it's one of those games that everyone dreams of playing, you know, playing against India in the World Cup on their home turf.
Getting your hands on a ticket for this match hasn't been easy, a situation not helped by the lack of a centralised ticketing system. Instead, here in India, regional cricket associations are put in charge of handing out tickets for their own individual matches. Many fans feel far too many tickets are going to those with connections or those in the corporate boxes, and far too few are filtering down to them.
It's absolutely pathetic. Honestly speaking, we've seen so many matches in this country. We've never seen such shabby preparation.
One has to ask, who is this tournament being played for? Surely not for the man on the street in India.
The sports world governing body have been left trying to explain why they don't seem to be in charge of ticketing their own event.
Ticketing sale is in the hands of the hosts. We set and agree policies with them. Some commitments are made well in advance. It's a fact of life that we have commitments to the sponsors who support us over a long period in our cycle.
This was the scene on Thursday when some tickets did go on public sale. Most fans on the receiving end only of disappointment and what local police have since described as normal practice. Demand will always outstrip supply for such games, but as the importance of matches increases at this event, so too does the scope for further ticketing chaos. Andy Richardson, Al Jazeera, Bengaluru.
Well, meanwhile, 3 Pakistan cricketers found guilty of spot fixing say they will appeal their bans. Earlier this month, former captain Salman Butt and bowlers Mohammad Amir and Mohammad Asif were all found guilty by an International Cricket Council tribunal of planning to deliberately bowl no balls during a test match at Lord's last year. All 3 were essentially banned for 5 years. The trio will now